Welcome to everybody this evening. Lovely to have everybody here, our new ladies as well. And welcome to everybody online to Mighty Morsels tonight on this Thursday, the 6th of March. So last time we looked at the Old Testament where the question was asked, is anything too hard for the Lord? And then we did a bit of a journey around that. And then in the New Testament, discovered, for with God, nothing shall be impossible. And that was a good journey. So tonight, I want to share a little bit about walk the talk, because I think we all know people who talk the talk. Do we know people like that? Yes, we do. But the Word of God calls us to walk the talk, and I want to talk about that a little bit tonight. So I've got two questions. What does an effective Christian walk look like? And we're going to discuss that afterwards. What does an effective Christian walk look like? That's the first question. The second one is, when you think of Christians that you know, or who you know, what in their lives makes them inspirational? We're going to discuss that as well. When you think of Christians you know, what in their lives makes them inspirational? Because people, not all Christians are inspirational, but we want all Christians to be inspirational. We want to increase that for ourselves too. We're going to discuss that one as well. So I've got two parts to this mighty morsel tonight. So the first one, I want to talk a little bit about inheritance and legacy, not so much about inheritance. I just want to look what the definition is of inheritance. And so the definition is receiving money, land, or possessions from someone after the person has died. So that is what an inheritance is. Somebody's got to die, they leave you stuff and you receive it. I have to tell you the funniest story on the face of the earth. Arthur's mum passed away, so it was 2005. I had a kid in rehab, and that was financially challenging to say the least. And it wasn't too long, and we were notified, here's some money that has come from Irma to us. It wasn't very much, but really anything is better than nothing. So we were grateful for it, and we tithed on it, and then we spent it. And then I think it was about 6 months later, we got a phone call. Arthur got a phone call from his sister saying, Arthur, the tombstone is ready, and this is the cost. And it was how much we had received. We couldn't get the tithe back. But yeah, that's kind of been my experience of inheritance. Otherwise, there hasn't really been anything at all. No, that's not true. An auntie that I think I met once when I was 2 left me 200 Rand once long ago. So that is inheritance. It's not something that everybody has or gets on. Sometimes you hear about kids inheriting like 10 million or so. You're like, whoa, you know. Yeah, we wish we were that kid. That's what we dream about. So when I was young, I used to dream about, imagine I got 1 million. But now it's like, imagine I got 100 million. As inflation inflates. Okay, so that's inheritance. It's what you receive when somebody is gone. But now what I want to look at a little bit more in depth is legacy, because it's not the same thing. Although it's a similar thing, it's not the same. And I've got a couple of definitions here. So the first one is, legacy is the positive impact your life has on other people. Your legacy is the sum of the personal values, accomplishments, and actions which enrich others and resonate with people around you. Shall I read that again? Legacy is the positive impact your life has on other people. Your legacy is the sum of the personal values. So read more slowly. Are you girls keeping up? Are you good? Personal values, accomplishments, and actions which enrich others and resonate with people around you. So it's the impact of your life on people around you, on everybody that you come into contact with. And the truth of it is that every single one of us are going to leave a legacy because we've been alive. If you've been alive on the earth, you're going to leave a legacy. And I'm thinking, as God's people, we got to leave the most magnificent legacies ever. So, with being involved for 50 years with Arthur, I don't even know how many funerals we've had. Lots. Some years more than others. Some have been so sad that the whole atmosphere was sad, heavy, was difficult. And others, we have had celebrations in this place that it felt like the roof could lift because of the way people have lived their lives. And I'm just saying, as God's people, we need to have the most incredible legacy and the most incredible memorials. You know, so I was at a lot of sad memorials because Arthur was always, he will bury anyone. He never charged. And if somebody had a uncles, brothers, aunties, somebody, he would bury them where nobody else would. No, you've got to belong to the church, otherwise I won't bury them. Some churches are like that. Arthur just buried people. So I don't know who this old auntie was, old lady. And so, you know, every memorial, people come forward and they say something, and it's the good stuff, and it's the legacy actually, and the memories and stuff like that. And there was just one person that came forward. It was quite a small memorial. So, you know, when you get really old, your friends have died. So often those old people's funerals are quite small, depending. So anyway, somebody came forward to give a little speech and so on, and this was their speech. You know, I can't remember her name. The thing about her, she loved crossword puzzles, and if you popped in at any time of day, you will find her doing crossword puzzles. And that was what was said about her at a memorial. You know, when I went home, I felt so low. I thought, you know, that I love crossword puzzle. I love Sudoku. I love all that stuff. I don't want to be remembered for playing that at 11 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? I want people to say other stuff. So let's look at another definition of legacy. Legacy, or leaving a legacy, means that you will continue making a contribution in future years. How lovely is that? You will continue making a contribution in future years, helping generations implement the life lessons you gained. You're going to help the generations after you to implement the life lessons you gained. It must be that we didn't live in vain, for all of us, for God's people especially. And then the last definition, is everybody keeping up? Are we good? The last one is something which continues to exist after you are gone. Something which continues to exist after you are gone. So on Sunday when I preached, I was talking about being intentional. And I was saying that no general ever won a war by accident. We got to live intentionally. That's just how it is. And you know what? And sometimes even as God's people, we don't, because I know there've been seasons of my life where I've been less intentional than in other seasons. But to be intentional is such a key thing. Because we need a knowledge and an awareness as we are moving through life. You know, it's easy to sail. It's just easy to sail through and look back and say, yo, like 6 months has gone past and I haven't done whatever X, Y, Z is, you know. Okay, so that is one part of what I want to say about people who are living their Christian lives well. They are conscious of the legacy that they're going to leave. So when they're doing stuff, even if it's sacrificial, they know it's worth it because somewhere down the line, there's going to be a big impact that they've left. But the other thing that I want to talk about that I've noticed about people that have got, if we can say successful, I don't know if that's the right word, or powerful Christian lives, has got to do with the atmosphere that they carry. You know, this always fascinates me that all of us carry an atmosphere with us. We carry an atmosphere, we carry an energy, and it always fascinates me how we can pick up on people's atmospheres or who they are just by meeting with them, just by chatting to them. And we can have thoughts like, uh, you can tell me if you've all had it or not, like, yo, I don't feel safe with you. Hey, yeah, you're all nodding. They didn't say a word. They've not said one word. Or they're saying something and you think, I don't trust you. I can't trust you. That's the atmosphere that, you know, you can't hide who you really are. And I think also as spirit-filled Christians who walk in discernment as well, you pick up also at a different level, you know, things about people. And I'm not saying this as a judgment. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not saying this that we're meeting people and then we're judging them or cutting them down or putting them down. No, I'm just saying to be very aware, just to be very aware of the facts. This is the fact, you know. Don't make the mistake of confiding in somebody that in your heart you know that you don't really trust them. Then be surprised when they've told the world all your stuff, you know. Just to walk in wisdom, to use this to walk in wisdom. So my question was when I was preparing this, is there change that needs to take place in my atmosphere? Because, you know, we're not born with atmosphere. We become atmosphere. We are what we have walked. We are who we fellowship with. We are as much word as we read. We are a result of all our choices, really, that we're making. On my tombstone, I've been told by many, many people, on my tombstone, it's going to be written there, life is choices. But I don't know, the way I'm going now, it might not be that anymore. But many years ago, my kids were still small, and we had visitors over. So it was before I've given a lot of thought to this thing of atmosphere in my latter years, you know, as I've kind of been thinking and defining it. But my early years, I hadn't really thought of it much like this. But we had visitors one afternoon, and I actually can't even remember who it was. I remember making tea and coffee, and I remember sitting there. And I remember this because I had to change my atmosphere, and it became clear to me that afternoon. I actually felt very embarrassed about it. So the conversation was going on, whatever people talk about when they have tea, stuff, life, you know. And for some reason, I started talking about car accidents. I don't know. There'd been a really bad car accident somewhere near us, but a really bad one, shocking, you know. And anyway, I got to talking about it. And after the people had left, I thought to myself, I really dominated that conversation about this car accident. I wonder why I did that. I felt so bad about it because, you know, what I started noticing was that the atmosphere came down. You know, the atmosphere had been quite, you know, we're chatting and stuff. And then when I'd done that, it like brought it down. Anyway, I had to repent and had to think about it a lot. And then I had to take a decision, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to do that. And then I realized that I used to do that in conversations. Maybe not every time, but every so often I'd be like that, you know. And then I thought to myself, I need to change that because that is not a good thing and it's not edifying. Not to say you can't say, there was a bad accident and stuff, but really, I felt like I dominated the conversation through it. And it wasn't good. I know it wasn't good. My conscience told me it wasn't good. The Holy Spirit was, no. So, so that is a challenge, something that all of us can go home. So I'm having to have a relook and thinking, Lord, are there places where I need to make adjustments? Sometimes a small adjustment, sometimes a huge one, like I had to make then. But you know what? It was humbling, but I was richer for it and more aware because of it. So I was grateful for that. So, so talking about strength of Christian character, that, as I've said just now, it doesn't just happen. It's not if you get born again, now you're automatically, it's not like that. We are born again. Now we've got to grow this thing. Everything that comes from God comes in seed form. Nothing comes whole dropping down from heaven. Everything comes in seed form. And we have to grow that and be good stewards and grow it well. So, what are some of the dynamics that we need for transformational Christianity, a good, strong Christianity? So there are many answers to that. But I just want to look at one thing as the second part of this mighty morsel. Something that is absolutely non-negotiable to us as born-again people, and that is surrender of our lives. Surrender of our lives. So I believe that when we get born again, that we instinctively know, and we actually talked about this or mentioned this in our very first get-together, we instinctively know that it's going to cost when we come to Jesus Christ. And people who are fooling themselves that there's no cost are fooling themselves, because there is no depth to a walk that hasn't got a deep surrender. Luke 22:42, he said, Father, if it is your will, this is Jesus now, the agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. He says, take this cup of suffering away from me. However, he yields himself. He says, not my will, but yours be done. And that is something that I've done several times over my life, and I'm sure you have too, or maybe you have too. We need to come to that place again of saying, I want this really badly, but I'm saying to you now, Lord, not my will. I'll bow. If you close the door, I'll bow to it. I'll receive it. Not my will. Galatians 2:20, I've been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So when we hand over our lives, I have been crucified with Christ. Read this on Sunday as well. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So when you see those Christian memes on Facebook that talk about being a better you and stuff, no. It's not what it's about. Not to say that we mustn't change, we must. But we must change because not my will be done. That brings about that deep inner change, not that thing that is superficial or exterior change. Are you ladies all with me? I see nods, I see smiles. Thank you. Surrender is the bedrock or the foundation that we build on. It is the most basic start of our walk with Jesus Christ. And I think there are many shaky Christian walks because it has not been done. Because people say the sinner's prayer, but there's not the weight isn't in it, behind it. And I want to say something as well, is that really surrender is an ongoing process. When I got saved, I said, Lord, I give you everything. Well, little did I know how much more There was going to be surrender. We never stopped surrendering. Right until the end, when we finally surrender our lives to him, there is continual surrender. So I've got two testimonies. The one was a young man. He was in our youth when I was youth. So let's just say we're going back about 10 years or so, you know. And he was a cricketer, and he was an excellent cricketer, and he belonged to a cricket club. And he loved, after the cricket game, it's the same as with golf or with these other clubs and stuff like that, a little drink of some kind of whatever happened after the game. But the problem was that I think he was in the start of alcoholism, 18 years old. And so I think, but he was really good at it, at cricket and at drinking, both. But anyway, he would get home motherless. Oh, that's never, ever a good thing. Anyway, got saved, got wonderfully saved, but continue playing cricket and continue being motherless every time. And then one day he said, I remember him saying to us, he's going to give up cricket because he can't play cricket without ending being motherless. And he feels the Lord speaking to him to surrender. And he stopped cricket. He gave it up. And I mean, he went on to be he went on to be an elder, he went on to preach, he went on to be a dynamic guy in God. But I can tell you now, if he carried on with the cricket, he wouldn't have been. So I'm not saying that we have to give up our hobbies. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying, listen to the voice of the Spirit that he's saying to you, is this a good idea to be doing? You know, whatever it is, it's different for all of us. And then another one just about Arthur and I, as most of you know. I was in love with that man. And I wanted to make it work out. So I was trying very hard to make it work out, let's put it like that, for somebody who's not interested, the poor guy. And eventually, it was probably about on the 7-year mark, and I hadn't got the hint yet, you know, that he wasn't really interested. You know, there's a reason they say dumb blonde. I'm just saying. So anyway, eventually one day I thought to myself, I actually can't go on like this. It actually isn't good for me. It's not good for him either. It's not good for me. And I knelt down at my bed and I cried. I wept. And I said, Lord, I give him up. I'm giving him up. I'm giving him to you. And I will not, I'll not, I'm going to let it go. This intense desire that I have. I wanted to marry that guy. Give it up, Lord. And I've done many hard things. It was one of the hardest things I ever did because I was absolutely deadly serious about it. And we were married within the year. Because the minute I backed off, he was like, oh, she's nice. Like, oh. But that was such a powerful thing. I said to the Lord, if you want me to move away from the church, so the church was my life, if you want me to be like a missionary in China, I will go. It's like I gave him everything of that stuff, you know. And many other times, and I've heard many testimonies of people who have deeply surrendered areas of their lives on an ongoing basis and just see God do amazing stuff. See God have his way, you know, so powerful. So as we journey, we will all be challenged on a regular basis for deeper with the Lord. Like this one, sleep, pray. Sleep, pray. Well, let's not go there. But as we surrender, so before we surrender, this is our kind of prayer. Like, Lord, bless what I'm doing. Lord, bless what I'm doing for you. Bless what I'm doing, Lord. Thank you that your blessing is on me for what I'm doing. But after the surrender comes, it becomes, Lord, I align myself with what you're doing. What a big difference. It's not what I'm doing, it's what he's doing. Amen. So, the point of connecting like this in our Connect group, our Better Together Connect group, is not to have a holy huddle, because we could easily have a holy huddle, have fun every time, chat, fellowship, whatever, and we will have one or two of those. But really, my heart's desire for this meeting, or they call it navel gazing, like when you find where your belly button is, you navel gaze. And I don't want to do that so much. I want to see transformation. I want to see that deposit of gold that is in each person here. I want to dig. I want to mine. I want to mine that deposit out with you ladies and see God doing amazing stuff and see you emerge like never before. I'm already seeing a lot of it. I just want to say, just for the record, but more, Lord, more. There's always more, always. I want this to be an empowering meeting. So every week, I need you ladies to be able to, when you leave here, say to yourself, I am taking away something tonight. So I learned that long ago. If I listen to a sermon, I look for the takeaway. What can I take away from the sermon? Because by Wednesday, it's hard to remember what happened back there. Life happens. And so I want to say it's a bit like McDonald's, but I don't like McDonald's. So I don't like takeaways, but like something special takeaway that each one of us can say, this is what I've taken away. And more than that, maybe this is what I can do about it. That's what I really like. Like this week, like if you've never thought of legacy before, what you're going to leave behind, is to be able to say, how can I adjust this so that I can leave more influence? What can I say? What can I do? How can I pray? Etc. etc. So just in closing, I used to belong to like a ministers get together that was on a Friday, and Arthur and I, and Arthur went for eventually, must be about 25 years, I think, related to these guys, and wonderful guys, like excellent, those kind that you can see and the integrity, Summa, all of them. But when we went to those meetings, you know what these guys love to do? They love to talk about concepts and theology, and they would have discussions about stuff. I think I went probably for about 10 years to it. One day I said to Arthur, I'm going to bow out gracefully from going to this meeting, because you know what? I like my feet on the ground. I like to, okay, how can we do this? Okay, 1,000 kids need nappies. How can we do this? Or so I'm that way inclined. So there is a place for this, make no mistake. There is a place for it, but that's not really what you're going to find here. So I just want to say it's not really what you're going to find here. The theological discussions, so much. Okay, so our questions for this evening are, what does an effective Christian walk look like? I want to remind everybody here tonight that you have a voice. So I would love for everybody to have some input somewhere along the line, even if it's only once, it's fine. The other question, when you think of Christians, what in their lives makes them inspirational to you? And is there a change that needs to happen in terms of my atmosphere? That you don't have to share unless you want to. That's maybe a more personal thing. So I'm going to say farewell to our online people. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been good having you around, and God bless.